I'm Daryl Wurzbach, your host. Welcome to Social Commerce in Action. Our goal of this show is to really bring together thought leaders, and the industry is changing. We're seeing so much evolution, and my goal is to bring together thought leaders who are really innovating, who are implementing referral programs, rewards programs, testing different go-to-markets, and really bring some of those lessons to life and share some of those stories with everybody to learn from. So as you arrive, please introduce yourself in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. So today I'm really excited to bring on our next guest. He has an extensive background with a lot of diverse areas. He started in retail. He started in retail operations. He ran sales operations for a retail business that transitioned in the late 90s, early 2000s to e-commerce. After that, he ran a very successful direct selling business for about 8 years, during which time he was a member of the DSA board of directors and was very involved in this space and the broader industry. Over the last several years, he started a brand new venture, SOMV, and I'm excited to pick his brain and kind of get some of the lessons he's learned over the last few years. So without further ado, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, Gerald, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Thank you again for being part of the show. And really, to kick it off, what I'd love to kind of pick your brain on is you have this immense background in diverse industries, diverse businesses. You started SOMV in 2016. Share a bit of the story, like what got you to starting SOMV, and kind of share a bit about the business and where you're at with this.
Okay, I'd be happy to. So my 40-year career in this business has been based on a passion that I have for helping people get the best sleep of their lives. And it's always been within the luxury bedding industry. And when I say bedding, I'm not talking about mattresses. I'm talking about everything that goes on top of the bed. Okay, the sheets, the mattress cover, the comforter, the duvet cover, the pillows, all of those products have been what I've worked to develop and bring to market throughout my career. So I started in 1980. Our family opened a chain of retail stores. It was called Stroud's Linens. And the way I like to describe it, Daryl, is it was sort of like a Bed Bath & Beyond without the beyond, okay? There's no beyond. It was just all soft home textiles. And we had a phenomenal run with that business. We had an initial public offering in 1994. We raised money for expansion and went nationwide. Cumulatively, it was over $2 billion in sales over the time that we ran that business. But after it went public, I went and struck out on my own to explore more entrepreneurial ventures. And I worked with a e-commerce business for home textiles for a number of years called ihome.com. And then I started my own company called Private Quarters in 2004, which is really more about decorative top of the bed products. Ran that for 8 years. And during that time, I was elected to the board of directors of the Direct Selling Association, and I chaired the strategic planning committee for a year. That was a phenomenal experience. But anyway, we sold Private Quarters in 2012, and I did some consulting in the industry. I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs who were starting new direct selling businesses and were looking to fund their business. And then finally, in 2016, I started again my own company, but this time a sleep wellness company that's based on really the products that are going to help people get the best sleep of their life. That's really what SOMV is all about. And that's how we got started. And in essence, we did some focus groups and learned about how customers are shopping for this product in today's digital world. And what we found led us to go back to direct selling. And so right now we are operating in 31 states and have brand associates all throughout the country and thousands of customers and orders. And it's a great business.
Now, that's a great intro. And when you, with that diverse background, like you said, you did the focus groups and you selected the go-to-market of direct selling. Give me some context on that. Like, what was the decision making? Because again, with those diverse options, you could have gone to market a lot of ways. Why direct selling? What was the decision making process there?
Great question. And what we found in conducting surveys and focus groups with customers was that they were very frustrated in shopping for our product category online, meaning that one of the biggest factors in a customer's decision to purchase bedding, bed linen, home textiles, and pillows is the touch and feel of the product. It's paramount. It's the most important thing they consider when they're purchasing. And of course, you cannot touch a sheet or cuddle with a pillow over the internet. That is impossible to do. And so what the consumers told us was that, look, they'd go online, they'd buy whatever the highest thread count was or whatever. When they got it home, it wasn't what they really wanted. It didn't suit their personal preference in terms of the bedding that they wanted. So they returned it. And when you look at a lot of these e-commerce companies for bedding, they have very high return rates just for that particular reason. And then when we talked to them about shopping at brick and mortar stores, they were even more frustrated because if you go into any store today, like a Bed Bath & Beyond, you're not going to find anybody to help you that understands the product. And, even if you do find somebody, they're just not very knowledgeable at all. And so they were equally frustrated shopping with brick and mortar. And so that's how the idea for going direct selling came about, was we realized that this was solving a problem in the marketplace for people shopping for bedding.
Now, something you mentioned about like the consumer groups and kind of testing markets, that was something that really resonated with me when we first started working together on this 2018, 19. You were really big on like testing markets, validating product market fit. Talk to that process that you went through, because I saw that it's very, very unique in terms of like entrepreneurs. Like you were very deliberate with how you were really testing and validating the market. Maybe talk about your launch approach and how you came to market. And
yeah, it's great, very good. So yes, we were very deliberate in the way that we rolled out the concept early on, and we started literally with 5 brand associates. Those are our sales reps, independent sales reps, and in just a few markets, and essentially had product drop shipped from various warehouses. And we wanted to validate what we had learned in the focus groups. In other words, the proof is in the pudding. Are they actually going to place the orders? We knew what the customer sentiment was, but we needed to see it actually happen. And so we rolled out with a very basic compensation plan, not our full compensation plan. It's what's called sometimes in the industry a bridge plan, just giving a personal sales commission for those initial 5 reps. And what we found out was that we validated the concept tenfold. I mean, the orders came through. They weren't just, a set of sheets or a pillow. It was people buying a blanket, a comforter, a set of sheets, a pillow, or two pillows, more like building the entire bed. And at that point, we really knew we were onto something. And so at that point, then we took the next phase, which was, okay, rolling out the entire comp plan in all of its glory, putting that out there, and then allowing the brand associates to start sponsoring, bringing in new people, and growing the business like a direct selling company normally would.
That makes a lot of sense. And when you mention that, I mean, that's really like you're almost like testing like the affiliate model to some extent, like selling product. Can you sell the product? Like did you look at it like you've seen over the last couple of years, everybody's talking about affiliates and all these direct sales businesses trying to add an affiliate component. You really started with the affiliate component, it sounds like, out of the gate, and then you've added the direct sales. Do you look at it that way, or how do you see that? Like, does that?
Well, I'm not sure I would actually say it that way. I think that what we really did was base our business on a concept of personal demonstration of product. Okay, that when the customer has the opportunity to experience the product with a knowledgeable person there present, and there's a personal relationship involved, which is also important, which usually happens in these types of situations, that is what creates an environment where you can make the sale at a good, healthy margin. And by the way, I will tell you that most e-commerce companies and brick and mortar retailers struggle with product margins in this product category because it's always been a product category that department stores and other retailers have promoted over the years to drive traffic into the stores, And so it's become one of those, especially in the sheet and towel business there, it's always been price sensitive to promotions. And so what we found is we were able to get really healthy product margins there within this business. Now, when it comes to the affiliate model, what we see there is that there are individuals, of course, that have networks of contacts. So, and also there are individuals that have unique businesses. Like, let's just say, for example, an Airbnb host, okay? They've got to put bedding on that bed there at their Airbnb. Well, why couldn't they put our bedding on that bed and then sell it off the bed? Somebody like, the Westin Heavenly Bed, it's their bedding that they sell right off there. And so we believe that there's an opportunity there for affiliate model with that. Also interior decorators, realtors, anyone who's connected with a home. We think that that's a huge opportunity, and we are building that as we speak.
I love that. I love the creativity there too, because you've shared some of those scenarios with me in the past of like these creative ways people are getting in front of customers. Like you mentioned the Airbnb and like the little thing you said, like the little tents that they can put out of like save 10% by using my code. And like, it's really clever, like marketing tactics. Like, are there other tactics that you've kind of discovered as you've been kind of testing different things that have worked well, or any other things that you open to sharing?
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you one of the most important things that we learned was that our brand associates do exceptionally well when they hold events. Okay. And if you've got that share screen, you can go ahead and put it up there now. We have brand associates who will go to a country club or an antique fair or any type of event where people gather, and they will set up a bed, okay? And when they do that, people like to get into the bed, as you can see that they do that. And this is another example of one of our brand associates setting up at an antique fair. And what happens is the customer really experiences the product in a unique way with the entire bed set up. And that really facilitates a high level of sales that we know is extremely successful for those brand associates. Now, not all of our brand associates, though, do it that way. Some of them will set up like a table at a show or an event. They don't have to set up an entire bed, and they can do quite well that way also. But we know that being involved in the community at these events has been very successful. And what we've also learned along the way is that when women are shopping for this product, they love the idea if there is something to benefit the community that comes after the sale, they absolutely love that. And that is a really important part of who we are as a company. And what we do is when the brand associates have these events, they can either be hosted at a place like this, or like I said, a country club or an antique fair or whatever. It could even be at somebody's house when they do that. For every order that's placed at one of those events, we donate a pillow to a local charity of that host's choice. And so what's really cool about it, this is a situation in Wisconsin where we donated, these pillows are pillows that are rolled up in these little packages, but we donated them to a hospice there, which was really cool. Here's a situation where one of our brand associates donated this to a school for underprivileged children. And here's one of our brand associates in Utah that had packed up all of her pillows and is headed out to the local domestic violence shelter that they're going to benefit. And so you can take the slides down. Thank you.
Cool.
And so anyway, what we've learned really is that events and benefit charity, those two things have really helped accelerate our growth and our sales throughout the country. So that amongst many other things that we've learned as we've gone along, Daryl. I mean, I could write a book, and maybe someday I will write a book about my experience with this. But I'll tell you one thing that I really believe is important for those who are looking to start direct selling companies and who are contemplating getting into this industry. And that is one of the things that I learned when I was at the DSA that was really interesting, because, you know, when you're in there in the DSA board, you see a lot of companies come and go through the industry. And what was really interesting and fascinating to me is that the ones that had the most long-term success were usually the ones that started with the most humble means. I mean, if you look at like Doris Christopher and the Pampered Chef, you know, she ran that thing out of her basement for years. And the only capital that was ever infused in the business was $3,000 from an insurance policy that she had. My good friend Orville Thompson, they started their company out of a shipping container on their farm. I mean, talk about starting off from, you know, humble means. I mean, these companies were not necessarily well financed at the beginning, but they had a mission and they had a belief in what they were doing, and they were able to create a great business. So it's not about being, you know, the biggest or the best financed or any of that. It's more about the size of your heart and what you believe in that creates success in this industry. And so that's just one thing that I don't want to downplay being well financed. You need to be well financed, but, and especially in today's world, because things are different in a number of respects. But that's one thing that I learned when I was on the DSA board.
That's great insights. And I think, I mean, the way you started, where you really got product market fit and validated the hypothesis you had, I mean, that makes so much sense to make sure there's demand and real demand. So I think that's a great lesson. When you talk about change, like one thing I'd be curious your perspective on is you started right before the pandemic, right? 2016 through 19, you know, we were kind of getting going, and then the pandemic hit in 2020. What was your experience there? Like, how did that impact the business? Did you guys evolve from that? Like, yeah, talk to your experiences there.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So we did our nationwide launch in January of 2020, right on top of the pandemic, and it was a little bit scary there. I will tell you, the first couple of months, there was a lot of uncertainty. Nobody knew what was going to happen. But one of the things that we found out quickly is that our brand associates, when they face challenge, they get creative. And what they did was they created these things called sleepover packs, where they'll drop them off on the doorstep of one of their customers, let the customer touch, feel, explain, and in some cases even sleep on the product. And then guess what? Chances are they're going to buy it. So there was no live product demonstration because you just couldn't gather people like that. You couldn't have events or do that. But they found a way to be able to get the product into the customer's hands and make a sale. And so that was one of the things that I learned, is that some of your best ideas come from the field itself. They are the ones that are interacting with the customers, and they know exactly how to approach these difficult, challenging situations. So that was one thing. The other thing that we found is that during the pandemic, there's a lot of focus on people upgrading their home furnishings, and that helped. That helped during a time when people were basically afraid about the economy and just everything else. They were not spending money on going out to dinner or taking vacations. They're spending money on fixing up their homes because they're spending a lot of time in their homes. And so we benefited from that also during that time.
have you seen things like, because a lot of your events also in person, the different shows and things, have things come back to how they were before? Do you see that there's been like things that have stuck that are positives that came out of the pandemic that are really benefiting, or is it kind of back to how it was? Like, how do you see that? Has there been things that have carried in after the pandemic that's helping?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just learned a number of things through that experience that that we're able to apply. And so, yeah, I think that in the end, the pandemic really didn't, was a learning experience and a growth experience for us in the end. Um, and and one thing that we did learn and understand is that even with the personal demonstration of product, which is paramount for our business model, a lot of times a customer will say, okay, I want another set of sheets to replace the ones that I bought earlier or what have you. And that means that they want to just go to that rep's replicated website and make the purchase. And so what we learned also during that period was that having a good, robust e-commerce experience for the customer on top of our personal demonstration model is also very important. And so we work to improve that experience for the customer, and it's been really, really helpful. So that was another learning, something that we learned during that period that has helped us.
I love that. Now when you go back, with your private quarters and prior ventures, kind of now starting a business again, what's been different this time? Have there, demographics have changed, consumer expectations have changed. What are some things that are different that you've learned and had to apply this time that you didn't have to worry about last time?
Really good question. And the first thing I will say is that in any business you're going to have partners, you're going to have investors, you're going to have people who are advising you. A lot of people who start businesses in this industry will hire consultants to help them out. And what I decided this time around, that I wanted people who were C-suite executives or former C-suite executives within direct selling businesses, successful direct selling businesses, to be my partners, investors, and board members within this industry. And I wanted all of them to participate in the financing of the company and the advising me as the CEO and founder of the company. And I'm really, really proud to say we have 2 DSA Hall of Fame members that are part of our board in Charlie Orr and Jeff Riegel. Both of them are investors and board members and advisors for our business. We have a number of others that are also part of it. Heidi Wismiller, who was the Chief Growth Officer at Rodan and Fields during their growth period, and Keith Peterson, who was the president of Saladmaster. We've just got a dream team of advisors and investors that are part of our company. And that is certainly different from what I did previously. Previously, it was a venture capital funded business, and very different in terms of the advisors and the group of people that we were working with. And so that was certainly different this time around. The other thing that's different this time around is that we are really focused on not necessarily being a bed linen company. We are a sleep wellness company. This is what we are about. And if you read any of the latest research, Daryl, it's amazing. Sleep disorders are an epidemic in the United States. About a third of this country is not sleeping well. And if you're not getting 5 to 7 hours of sleep as an adult, you're at greater risk of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, you name it. I mean, all of those things you have greater exposure to. And so what we really believe is that, and we know, is that if you get comfortable in bed, you are going to sleep better much more often, much more frequently. And we teach people, our brand associates, that you're going to spend Your customers are going to spend a third of their life in bed. It's an investment to make. And so we've really based the company on that cornerstone, and that has been I think one of our best decisions since we started.
That's great. I mean, it's a great purpose too, right? Improving sleep and quality. I mean, that's a great purpose and great why. So we have about 3 minutes left. And I wanted to kind of wrap it up on you've had so much experience in the industry. You're saying, everybody's talking about the shifts and the changes. I'd love for you to share, what should people really be considering, kind of looking for the next 12, 18 months? What should other executives, owners be looking for? And what should they be focused on, to make sure they win with the latest dynamics and what we're seeing?
Yeah. Well, let me just say, one of the things I believe in is keeping in touch with the industry and trends in the industry. The direct selling industry, like any other business, is constantly changing. And I think that it's important for everyone who is part of a direct selling business that they're constantly looking at other companies and how they're experimenting with different things. And as you know, Daryl, we have spent a lot of time studying and trying to understand what those trends are in the industry so that we can adapt to them. Now, one of the things I'll always say, and this is a mistake that a lot of businesses make, is just because something works for another company does not necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Okay? These companies, it's different products, different price points, different everything. But the converse of that is also true. Just because it works for them doesn't mean it's not going to work for us. So it might be something that might work for us, or our version of it, or maybe the way that we do it is different to suit our particular business. But I think it's important for us to constantly be looking at how things are changing, because we do know that life is changing for people throughout this country because of everything that's gone on over the last few years. And that's important. What we know is that we've got a great business opportunity. Our brand associates earn good income from the work that they do, and that's why they're passionate. That's one of the reasons why they're passionate about our business. But that's one of the things that I would say is important for business owners and those in the direct selling industry to take away.
No, I love that answer. And that's really the purpose behind the show and why I'm inviting people like yourself on, is to really understand, ask the question, what are people seeing? What are they doing? And I've said the same thing. There is no silver bullet. It's all about your product, your market. There's so many factors that go into that it's everyone has to figure it out for themselves based on learning and trying things and testing things. So
yeah, and your point about no silver bullet. I mean, when you get down to it, there's so much to be said about just the basic blocking and tackling. The fundamentals of this business are really important. Sure, there's some innovative types of plays you can run, but in the end, you've got to have those fundamentals and those basics down to be a good, high-functioning direct selling company, and that's what we try to focus on.
Love it, Jeff. And I appreciate your time today. This has been a great conversation. So thank you for joining today, and I hope our viewers got some good insights out of it. So thank you, Jeff.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Daryl.
Cool. All right, thanks, Jeff.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.